Bama flips dual threat four-star quarterback Keelon Russell from SMU. Alabama's future at the quarterback position became clear Tuesday when dual threat Keelon Russell, ESPN's number 81 recruit in the 2025 class, and the number 15 prospect from Texas, flipped from SMU, which is rare that SMU pulls in a top 100 player. Somebody go find the last time that SMU signed a top 100 player. I bet it's been a minute. So again, number 15 rated player in the state of Texas. That goes to show you the depth of Texas talent. They've got 15 of the top 81 players, according to ESPN. Russell's commitment marks Alabama's first pledge from a high school quarterback under Kalen DeBoer, which I got to think, based on Michael Penix, based on DeBoer's offense, based on the wide receiver play at Washington, is going to be the first of many. Russell, the four-star recruit out of Duncanville, Texas, was previously committed to SMU. Russell's flip follows a 2024 class in which the Crimson Tide failed to add a passer following five-star quarterback Julian Sains' flip to Ohio State. And I would say this to 247 in sports in particular, as I was looking at their recruiting class. This was just on Tuesday when we were talking to Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama, and I was reviewing said class, that there should be some kind of distinction made about players that have either committed, signed, and transferred before they ever played for that particular school, or transferred at any time. That should be noted in the class rankings and noted for that particular player, because in this day and age, half the class is gone in 2 years. Russell is now the third highest ranked member of the Alabama 2025 class by ESPN. Russell initially committed to SMU on September 21st, 2023. The 6'3", 185-pound prospect. He's a lean guy. 6'3", 185. They're going to fill him out in Tuscaloosa. I would think told Bama that they first made contact in late January, shortly after DeBoer and his staff arrived in Tuscaloosa. In a recruitment led by offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach Nick Sheridan, Russell said the Crimson Tide presented him with a clear plan and maintained consistent contact throughout the spring. And who knows, Kalen DeBoer and his staff, it appears based on that information, was probably in contact with Russell when they were still at the University of Washington. Quote, they laid out the spot for me on the depth chart. It's something a quarterback dreams of, Russell told ESPN. I felt like if I took the role that I could do some amazing things at high levels. I don't know that I'm on board with this first statement. Would love to know a little bit more about that first statement there. Do you see that? They laid out the spot for me on the depth chart. They laid out the spot for me on the depth chart before I have stepped on the practice field. And of course, this is a 2025 guy that the first time they're going to see him at Alabama, going to see him in crimson wearing the gear, is going to be, if he's an early enrollee, is going to be bowl practice at the earliest. I've been in touch with him almost every day since they began recruiting me. So this goes back to January, 6 months, 5 to 6 months. So that shows you the relentless nature of recruiting right there. In touch with him almost every day since they began recruiting me. Do you think that Russell made most of those initiations? I think not. If not every day, then every week. They've been on me, really trying to get me there. As of the close of spring camp, Alabama's current quarterback depth includes returning starter Jalen Milroe, sophomore Ty Simpson, and redshirt freshman Dylan Lonergan and Austin Mack. So Milroe, the starter, of course, led them to the college football playoff and was a much improved quarterback after the first couple games of the season. We all saw it. great runner, big size, Cam Newton type build, and may fill into it a little bit more. And then, of course, proved to be probably the best deep ball thrower in the sport this side of Michael Penix, especially compared to the rest of his game in short and intermediate. So definitely compared to the rest of his throwing components, short and intermediate, great distance thrower, Jalen Milroe, but also compared to all these other guys across the nation, exceptional. And I'm not just talking about cannon, because most of these guys have a cannon. Talking about accuracy on the deep throw. Ty Simpson's been around for, it says sophomore. I got to think he's a redshirt sophomore at this point. It just seems like maybe it's just this day and age of guys transferring constantly that it just seems like Ty Simpson's been there forever. And then Dylan Lonergan, Austin Mack, huge pickup. Of course, he was committed to Washington. And once DeBoer scooted from Seattle to Tuscaloosa, he followed. Crimson Tide do not have a quarterback committed in the class of 2026. Does that need to be noted? Is that a problem? Is that an issue? They don't have a quarterback committed for 2026? All right. Russell pointed to the relationships he developed with the Crimson Tide's first-year coaching staff and Michael Penix's development under DeBoer. Just noted that at Washington as elements that helped flip his commitment to Alabama. There could have been a few other ones. Above all, however, it was an open spot and the promise of a future opportunity under center in Tuscaloosa that lured Russell from the SMU pledge he made nearly 21 months ago. I think I knew that Alabama could do some crazy stuff for me. He said, I'm going to get there and ball out for sure. Okay, boy, that I don't want to read into people's statements. And if you've been watching me for a long, long time, you know that I don't. But in this day and age of NIL, and it being different today even than it was 3 or 4 months ago in terms of what's out there, what's legal, what is under the guides of the NCAA, which of course has no power, and everything that they tried to restrict was defeated in court. When he makes the statements, they showed me where I stand on the depth chart. I don't like that statement. And then he says, after saying all these things great about Alabama, and we understand that Alabama, SMU, there's no comparison between where they stand in college football, of course. So even if this was pre-NIL, nobody's going to bat an eye over somebody transferring or flipping from SMU to Bama. And so then he notes Michael Penix's development and the opportunity to start in Tuscaloosa. And we should probably drop the term under center. I say that once in a while, but they're never under center anymore. But then when he chimes in with, quote, I think I knew that Alabama could do some crazy stuff for me. Well, I would think that 2 years ago, you knew all the crazy stuff that Alabama could do for you in regards to big time winning, gold standard of college football, all those things. Maybe Nick Saban and his staff did not recruit him at all. Maybe that's the point as well. So I don't want to read too much into that, but I got to think that NIL was a factor.